Well, good morning everyone. Bobby Lee, of course, here with Hurricane Creek Farms. Not going to be a very bright morning, no sunrise today, or maybe even for the next few days, but as my daughter just informed me as she was heading out the door for school, today is Groundhog Day, so here's hoping that little jerk does not see his shadow and spring gets here sooner rather than later. But got a lot to do. Gonna get some cows fed. Let's get after it. And look who's right here at the feed bunk. That's number 501 herself. Guess today's a week since we pulled that dead calf from her, so about ready to declare her as going to be fine. Really didn't know there for a while, but got them fed. Feed truck came yesterday, filled both bins up, which was just in the nick of time before we get this winter storm. And because we were pretty much out, I was having to beat on the side of the bin here. This one had been empty. We empty it first typically. And then that one had just a little left in it, but I need to climb up there too. Be sure that the lids are closed securely. Truck driver delivering generally does so. So they're full to the brim. That one actually was not closed very well, but I'm just gonna cut the camera off before I climb down and break my neck, but get a pretty good view of things from up here. Need to get down there and feed those feeder steers, get the horses fed. We'll throw some donkeys some hay and get a bunch of other stuff done before, again, as I alluded to, winter storm warning. Okay, so got these boys fed. I'd mentioned before, we had kind of shut it where they could no longer come back here in this part of the barn and over here, just because the more they're in there, there's more traffic. All the urine, manure, it gets muddy and nasty. And it had dried up so much, hadn't had any rain, so they were fine just out here. Kind of just took advantage of that dry weather to let the barn drop a little bit. But dry weather's apparently over with for the foreseeable future, so I'm gonna open this barn back up too. Actually, I'll go ahead and climb up here. Don't know how well you'll be able to see my light there above what used to be the chute here. It's not been working, but we're pretty much out of corn. So yeah, you're not gonna be able to see anything. Should I get the old cell phone flashlight out? Okay, so there is still some corn down in there you may be able to appreciate, but not a lot. We would no doubt be out within probably the next 3 or 4 days. So one of the priorities for today is to go get some more corn. So got the barn open back up, they can get back in there, some of those drier areas. Okay, our makeshift panels there. But as you can see, still got a little hay in that ring over there, a little in a couple of them, but they're eating that older hay that we went and picked up in the last video pretty well. They're smaller rolls to begin with, and just with them being real weathered, there's a lot of waste, and so they're going through them really fast. I really thought we put that hay out on Sunday, we would make it probably all the way until Friday or Saturday before we need to again. Not gonna be so, and especially, I guess I should mention with the weather, we're under a winter storm warning, an ice storm warning starting at midnight tonight. So we'd rather not have to be, doing a lot of tractor work and whatnot in the next day or two. So, but yeah, everything looks pretty good out there. Our little calf that we hadn't been bottle feeding is right there on that Hereford cow. So may try to get them in the barn, hoping no calves for like the next 48 hours. So hey girls, y'all hear that? Nobody go into labor for the next 2 days. Squeeze those legs tight, whatever you got to do, keep those babies in there till this winter weather passes. So now in all seriousness, fingers crossed. Last Thursday we had 3 calves born. I think we've had one since then. Just happened to have 3 right there in one day. Tomorrow when the storm hits, please no calves this Thursday. But we gotta get some hay taken up the road to the other calves. and then get back here and get worked on getting some corn, get some hay put out for them. Just don't have any like huge projects to do, but feel like I have a million little things need to get done before this weather starts to turn off a lot nastier. Oh yeah, waiting on me at the gate like usual, which especially because see over there, they're out of hay. They were out. Well, if I can get the gate undone. They were really pretty much out yesterday, but I just didn't have a chance to bring them anymore. So now they've got some. It ain't pretty. Those old rolls are just kind of falling apart. But get that, get some feed put out. They'll be set for a few days. But we just put that hay out here. It was in that last video when Wilson and I were bringing it with the tractor. That was Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like Sunday night, Monday night. Yeah, they really ate that hay in like 3 days. Like I said, it was pretty much gone yesterday, but got them some more. That, again, I'm really happy they're eating and they just go through it pretty fast. But yeah, a little more kind of the details that you know what our area is supposed to be looking at on this storm. No snow really, maybe just a very, very little, but ice. I think it's supposed to start raining about noon today, and then just next 24 hours just rain. But around, you know, sometime during the night, I guess around midnight is when this morning goes into effect, turning over to ice, and anywhere from a minor accumulations up to a ½ inch, which a ½ inch of ice is a good bit. Those of us old enough to remember 1994, anytime they have an ice storm warning, kind of have flashbacks and remember the fiasco that was. Oh, we got to put her in full drive. That whole deal then was just all the power lines that were down, tree limbs were snapping. I remember my mom, I was only like 10 or 11 years old, but my mom telling me, and Dad talking about it, where it just all night long, it was like gunshots going off outside the house. You saw the limbs snapping. So hopefully nothing like that, but we can get this hay unloaded. Got them a few buckets of feed too. And we're gonna go so we can get some corn. The way this hay's just kind of falling apart, it's all sitting on here, catty cornered and falling over. I can't clamp it right, so I'm gonna see if I can roll it off of here. No, yeah, not much to it. Ring around it right there. And yeah, they're already up there. One of them is eating on that other one. We get hooked up here. See, we are using the black truck. Another thing in the theme of it's always something, the farm truck, the white truck, has a power steering pump going out, so it's still drivable. But when we're not needing it for something like hauling those bales, we're using the black truck for the next couple of weeks till we can get it worked on. All right, so made the trip, got the bin full of corn. That should be all the corn we need for this year. Feed these boys out since we've let them over here into the barn. So everything's a big play day for them. Like, they barely even ate this morning. They were just so excited to run over here and check out the barn if they hadn't been in for the last week or two. But it's only 10 o'clock. Made pretty good time. And looks like they pushed the rain back just a little later in the day. May not be a good thing as far as the ice is concerned, because I guess ideally the rain will go ahead and get out of here for the most part before the temperature drops tonight. But I'm gonna ride over there and see, look at that hay that we're gonna buy from our neighbor. I'm not sure exactly where they have it stacked because it did rain overnight. Obviously things have turned a little muddy. If it's a good setup where I can get it loaded and then moved without making a mess, rutting things up, I might go ahead and try to move that, because 15 rolls, just 3 trips, it's only like 3 miles away. We could get that done pretty quickly. But I'm gonna go kind of scout out the situation. If it hadn't rained overnight, it would have been no doubt dry enough. But all right, UPS came today and look what they brought. We got our ear tags in. So some of you have been watching for a while, I think I went on a little bit of a rant a couple of months ago we'd ordered these like we do every year, and then we get like a few weeks after we order them, get an email that they've got the whole supply chain issue. So that's why we've been using these blank tags that we've been handwriting, but don't have to do that anymore. Finally got those in. And of course I had just ordered more blank tags like 2 days ago. So it figures, but it's not like they expire or go bad, but yeah, I got those in. Y'all don't judge my cluttered desk, cluttered office. Yeah, it looks like a mess because it kind of is, but I know where everything is. And don't they always say that a cluttered desk is the sign of a genius? I don't know, but I agree with it. So we're gonna go get some hay put out now. I did run up the road and looked at that hay that the neighbor's gonna sell us. It's just gonna be too muddy to get it out of there today, not without, most of it was still sitting out in the field, so it was gonna make a mess. So we'll just get that some other time. We'll put out some of the hay we've already got. So we're gonna go ahead and fill up all the hay feeders, all the ones that are empty anyway. But now, as of 1:20 p.m., the updated forecast is that we are expecting to get every bit as much ice as they had previously said, and maybe even more. Our immediate area, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. The folks just a little north of us, maybe even 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So I don't know, we just really hope it falls already frozen, where it bounces off the tree limbs, the power lines, doesn't hit it wet and freeze to it. I really don't know what temperature or whatever makes that difference, but most of the rain, as you may be able to tell, it's kind of holding off for now. It's not supposed to be here until after midnight, but the high tomorrow is 30. It's going to be significantly colder than that, for the low. So you would think it should all be frozen, as it's coming down, but I don't know. I'm not an expert enough to figure that out, but we're going to get this hay put out and just wait and see. Can't do much more. This here is a prime example of what I don't understand always about cows and hay. So, brand new roll we just put out, Bermuda grass hay, stored in the barn, never been rained on, like horse quality Bermuda grass hay, right there. A couple of them eating on it. That is some of the old rolls we put out the other day. This hay that we're feeding here, not awful, but weathered. This hay was rolled like a 1.5 years ago, going on 2 years ago. Stored outside, just looks like there's no chance they would really want to eat it at all, especially if they had that as an option. That cow, she was eating on this one and walked over there and decided to eat that one. So, I don't know. Obviously, I don't fully understand how cows think, certainly how their palate works. Well, it never fails. You talk about the rain holding off, and then here comes the rain. So, yeah, it's light rain. Still, it's like 55 degrees right now, so it's not even that uncomfortable. And good morning again. You can see we are getting a little of the ice now. Some of it building up there, but we got most of our chores done about an hour ago. It's about 6:30 now, so I'm trying to peek out, or not peek out, but just come up. The good news about the precipitation, it was falling wet about an hour ago, and then that was allowing it to stick to everything and then freeze. Now it seems to be turning over to more, I guess, what you call sleet. And so hopefully that'll bounce off these power lines and tree limbs and not stick. But I'd love to let it get a little more light here so I could check on things a little better before I left. Most of the cows came up, and whatnot, so we feel pretty good about everything. Didn't get that cold, of course. It's just now turning over to actually sleet. It's right at 30 degrees. But I've got to go. I got a little longer commute into work, and I got to stop and check on those other calves first and do a few other things. So we'll have to get a better look on everything in the daylight here if I can get home for a few minutes at lunch. The sun finally coming up enough we can see in video a little bit. You can see this crew looks to have made it through the night pretty well. Little frosty and icy. Again, I don't know how much you'll be able to appreciate it on the video, but just bouncing off the roof there, you can see it's pretty much all coming down frozen right now. Whereas again, an hour, you know, and earlier than that, it was all coming down liquid, sticking to everything, then freezing. So just as far as tree limbs and power lines go, it's going to be a real blessing when it's going to get frozen on us. But on a more concerning note, those 2 rolls of hay we brought yesterday are almost gone. Like, I will have to bring them more hay, maybe even on my lunch break. We're just gonna have to see how things go. But get them some feed put out, and we'll get back to the house and see how things look there now in the daylight. So finally getting to take a good look at the cows in the daylight. See, most of them want to huddle up over here, kind of underneath these pine trees, and that direction's north, so kind of where that hill's blocking the wind off of them. A few of them want to eat, but it is just nasty. It can't decide. It's halftime, it's raining, then the next time you look outside, it's sleeting. It's just, we're right on the verge of whether or not it's frozen, but you can see puddles still wet. It's a muddy mess. Main thing, I want to be sure nobody is trying to calve. That would be the worst case scenario, and then be sure some of these youngest calves are hanging in there and doing all right. There's several over here huddled up beside a roll of hay, but you see it's really weighing down these tree branches. Looks like it's broken off a few pine limbs there. I know, Mama, I ain't gonna bother you, baby. But yeah, it's not that cold, obviously. That's why everything's not. Can't decide if it wants to freeze or not. Yeah, there's several of the youngest calves over there. But anything one born in this weather just gets wet, and that's a bad situation. Walk up here. I apologize to any horse people that are watching, but horses just aren't smart animals. The barn is open, not just the stalls, but just the other barn where they can come in there and get out of the weather. And they hadn't come up. I tried to get them to come up last night, they wouldn't come up. I really need them to, so that way I can let the cows in there shelter if they want, at least a few of them. To do so, I need to get the horses out first. Yeah, there they are. Right over there. I mean, they're kind of like the cows, getting out of that north wind, but they also have access to the barn, and they know they have access to the barn. They can come and go as they wish, but just not smart animals. I like horses. They're fun to be around. They're just not smart. Got hay fed to these calves. They should be much happier. I had just grossly underestimated A, how much smaller those other rolls were that we brought yesterday, and then B, how much hay they would really consume just given the weather. I really thought they'd be fine for like another 48 hours, but they're in good shape now. Got them fed, but may just about wrap it up for this video. Storm is supposed to keep doing this for the next several hours, so tune back in with us next video here in a couple of days. We'll see what the final aftermath of all this is. Tree limbs are starting to get really heavy with this ice. I ran several spots with the tractor just coming down the road. It was hitting limbs and whatnot where it normally would not, so fingers crossed we don't lose power. But again, remind y'all to give the video a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. If you're new here, subscribe. That's even better. Yeah, y'all remember, eat beef and God bless.